Today we're going to talk about the biggest fear of women today, aging. If you are a woman that spends a considerable amount of time online, I am sure that you have seen at least one negative comment from a man that's telling you that you're going to expire basically once you turn 30. So many women subject themselves to these types of preventative procedures that promise to extend them looking 20, although a lot of the times this entire thing seems to backfire. There are some celebrities that do not subject themselves to these excessive interventions, or at least not to the extent that some other people do, but they are not something that is so common that we get the idea that this is the normal. We see much more of the other type of celebrities and influencers, and this is what we also start to perceive, unfortunately, as normal. I know that me saying this in my 20s is probably kind of triggering for people that are older, and I hope that I keep this stand as I age and try to look the best for my age, but not look 20 forever. Today we're going to talk about some natural ways that you can maintain your skin health and prevent it from prematurely aging. All of these things that I'm going to mention are going to positively impact your health overall, not just your skin, because your skin and your body are so well connected. The skin is the largest organ in a person's body, and it deserves you taking the best care of it that you possibly can. Enough rambling, let's get right into the video. Skin aging is classified generally into two categories. One is intrinsic and the other one is extrinsic aging. Intrinsic aging is the type of aging that you cannot do so much about. It is controlled by factors that are, let's say, inside your body. So your genetics, your hormonal balance, also your metabolism, your immune system, your gut health even. But the main trigger here is the extrinsic aging. This is the one that people would also refer to as the cause for premature aging. Extrinsic aging consists of all of the factors that are, let's say, outside of your body. Here we have your dietary habits, we have smoking, we have alcohol consumption. Also, photoaging is probably the biggest one here. This is the premature aging due to excessive exposure to sunlight. Air pollution is another important one, but again, photoaging is the biggest one in this category. There are also some other factors such as physical exercise, sleep, that also play a role here. We're going to discuss them in this video as well. The thickness of the skin increases in the first decades of our lives, and its peak is somewhere between 25 and 30 years. I find this kind of funny because a lot of people think that they should be subjecting themselves to anti-age interventions, and I don't know, 22, and you have not even reached your peak moment yet. And somewhere around 35 for all women, the skin thickness starts to decline, and this is where all of the other changes can start appearing, such as an increased number of age spots, pigmented spots, collagen synthesis starts to decline, elastin synthesis, hyaluronic acid synthesis, your glands in the skin produce less oil. This is why older people tend to have drier skin. Your blood vessels become more fragile and it is more susceptible to bruising. All of these things that lead to your skin looking different. Another possible factor could also, for women specifically, be the hormonal changes that women undergo, and specifically the decline in estrogen. Estrogen and also the production of collagen and elastin have this type of correlation where they peak somewhere between 25 and 30, and at some point at around 35 they start to rapidly decline. Less estrogen could also be connected to a general imbalance in the hormones that negatively impacts the skin. When the ratio of estrogen to androgens is not as it used to be, androgens, so the male hormones in a woman's body, have been shown to have negative influences on the skin cells. Progesterone is a hormone that could also be mostly having positive influences on skin health, but progesterone in excessive amounts could also lead to excessive oil production. And in this very pretty graph, everything is summarized, and you can pause and look at it, investigate it, screenshot it, whatever you want. I think it is a very nice graph that illustrates everything that I said up until this point. Now we're going to get into some of the extrinsic factors, specifically the dietary factors, or what can you change in your diet that can impact your skin health positively. Starting off with drinking enough water water. This is the most obvious one on the list, but just so you know, research has shown that excessive water intake, so more than the, let's say, 8 to 10 cups of water per day, does not lead to any other improvements in skin health. So you drinking a sufficient amount of water is going to improve your skin appearance, skin hydration, if you were dehydrated prior to that. But if you get your sufficient water intake, it's not going to do anything besides making you go to the bathroom more often. Protein intake is also a no-brainer here, because collagen itself is made out of amino acids. It's made out of the amino acids proline and lysine. Protein deficiency is something that is not very common in the Western world. It is mostly important for older people, because as people age, an insufficient amount of protein can also lead to decrease the wound healing, which can be very problematic for people of advanced age. Vitamins and minerals are something that we're going to get a bit deeper more into. The first one that I'm going to cover is vitamin C. Vitamin C is involved directly in the stabilization of the structure of collagen itself. It is also involved in the increased bioavailability, so your body's ability to absorb selenium. That is also very important for skin health. We're gonna get into that again. Vitamin C is also a very potent antioxidant. When you have excessive exposure to sunlight, in your skin, the so-called reactive oxygen species are produced more than normally. And vitamin C then comes and saves the day by neutralizing those reactive oxygen species and neutralizing the damage. A sufficient amount of vitamin C can go a long way, but supplementing it excessively is not going to help, because it is water soluble, and if you give your body more than it can absorb, you're just going to pee your vitamin C out. Also, some research has shown that vitamin C can help with preventing deep wrinkles and maintain sufficient hydration of the skin. Some vitamin C derivatives have also been found to decrease melanin synthesis. This is important for the appearance of age spots and pigmented areas on the skin, which tend to increase as one's age progresses. The next one on the list is also very popular. This is vitamin A, and if you're someone that's into skincare, vitamin A and retinol are basically the same thing. Retinol is in the group of the different vitamin A variants, but of course its function when you directly apply it to the skin and when you ingest it with food are somewhat different. Vitamin A that you ingest with your food can be found in two forms, as retinoids and as carotenoids. The retinoids are found primarily in animal foods, and this is the form that your body can directly use, while for carotenoids they are so-called vitamin A compounds, which your body can convert into vitamin A that it can use. Retinoids are involved in the regulation of normal cellular processes, such as the multiplication of the cells, and also for cells to be correctly assigned the function that they need to exert in your body. This is called cell differentiation. For carotenoids, they are involved in multiple antioxidative processes in your body, similarly to vitamin C, and there has been some research that investigates the supplementation of carotenoids and their function as an endogenous kind of sunscreen, so it protects you against sunburn. There was this study that subjected participants to a 12-week oral supplementation of beta-carotene, and this resulted in a reduction of UV-induced erythema. This is sunburn. Too much vitamin A, however, can be harmful, since there was this study, the so-called CARET study. It was a huge one back in the day because of the way it backfired. The participants in the study were given extra amounts of vitamin A, both in the form as retinoids and also in the provitamin A form. The main goal was to decrease the risk of lung cancer, but for the participants that were also smokers and also took these extra vitamins, they actually suffered an increased risk of lung cancer. This is why excessive consumption of vitamin A is not something to promote. If you think that you're getting sufficient amounts, comes through a balanced diet, then you do not need to supplement it in any other way. I know I've been criticizing excessive UV light exposure until now, but you need some sunlight to be able to synthesize vitamin D. Vitamin D is synthesized in your skin when the so-called pre-vitamin D3, which is the compound called 7-dehydrocholesterol, is exposed to sunlight, and then it can be converted to the vitamin D3 that your body can use. This vitamin is very important for your skin's immunity and also for your skin's antimicrobial processes. As age progresses, your body's ability to synthesize vitamin D actually declines, and research has shown that people, as they advance from the age of 20 to 80, have about half of the pre-vitamin D that they had at 20 at 80. Therefore, no matter how much sunlight you get at 80, your body cannot produce the same amounts of vitamin D as it used to. Vitamin E is also an antioxidant, and it is very sensitive to excessive sunlight exposure, and studies have shown that after one incidence of high UV exposure, the stores in the skin are severely depleted. Vitamin E in a combination with vitamin C has shown very good protective effects. This time it was in the form of a cream, but I think it's worth mentioning, than the different vitamins did alone. Getting all of the vitamins is very essential for maintaining an overall good health. The skin also has very high demands for folic acid. This is vitamin B9 because of its regenerative processes, and folic acid is involved in the DNA synthesis, and when your body generates new cells, of course it needs folic acid to make more cells. Studies have shown that after excessive UV exposure, your cells generally have a much higher demand for folic acid than normal. We have a few minerals on today's list. Those are zinc, copper, and selenium. Copper and selenium are important because of their antioxidative processes. For zinc, it is involved in over 200 enzymes in the human body, and it can actually directly absorb harmful UV radiation. This is why zinc can also be found in some sunscreen products. One thing that you should not be getting too much of are the so-called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs for short. These AGEs can be found mostly in fried foods, especially high-fat foods or foods with a sufficient amount of protein in them, because this is the result of subjecting your food to dry heat. When I say dry heat exposure, I mean processes such as frying or roasting. Air frying comes here as well. It is more about the cooking process than the food product itself, actually. A way that you can decrease your exposure to those is just by not consuming fried foods that often, and going also for some other cooking processes, or for no cooking process at all if you eat a salad, for instance. Advanced glycation aid products are actually researched thoroughly for their toxicological properties, and they're not only bad for your skin, they can have negative effects on multiple processes in your body. This is why your body actually has some mechanisms to detoxify itself from them, but if you consume too much of them, of course they accumulate and your body cannot deal with that much of them at one time. Now we're going into some types of lifestyle factors, some habits that could be either bad or good for your skin, for your aging processes, for your overall health. The first one is a very obvious one, and that is alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption, here we can classify, according to research, 2 drinks per day regularly as quite regular and excessive alcohol consumption that can have already a negative impact on your health. The two main things that alcohol does to your skin is dehydrated and increase the inflammation in it. I'm pretty sure you've seen either people outside who have excessive consumption of alcohol or people online, so you know what I'm talking about. Same goes for smoking. Smoking, in terms of the appearance of the skin, can result in the loss of the skin tone, of the skin radiance, skin hydration, everything, but generally it has zero health benefits even apart from skin when talking about anything. And going for electronic cigarettes cigarettes or vaping does not seem to change things that much, and your body still suffers the consequences of this negative habit. Getting sufficient amounts of sleep is also very crucial for your skin health. A sufficient amount of sleep also ensures the proper regenerative processes, because there was this study that was done on postmenopausal women that were sleeping less than 5 hours per night, and these women were taking longer to recover from sunburn than other women in the control group did. An insufficient amount of sleep has also been associated with a number of inflammatory skin conditions such as psoriasis, so everything in your body is connected, and you should ensure that you're getting your at least 7 hours, 7 something per night. Exercise has also shown some positive impacts on one's skin health because it increases the overall blood flow and ensures that your skin is getting all of its sufficient nutrients. Exercise has also shown to boost collagen and elastin synthesis and help with decreasing overall inflammation. Exercise generally, because of its impacts on stress, has also been mentioned here. I'm going to get into stress in a second and why can that also be bad for your skin, but I would just want to make clear that right now in the summer, if you want to exercise outside, do not forget to wear protective clothing, or it's too hot, I know, a sunscreen to exposed areas such as the shoulders or the arms, especially if you're someone like me that gets a lot of those, brown marks, I don't know what they're called in English, that appear due to excessive sunlight exposure, so sunscreen is essential. Now going into the stress, there have been some studies that were done specifically on older people that investigated social isolation's impacts on overall health and skin health as well, and a study in 2022 found that social isolation in older people led to them having worse inflammatory status, and a study was done a year after that which investigated the same thing, and this research paper concluded that older adults that were feeling more isolated and that did not have sufficient social connection had a thinner skin layer, also less fat in the face, and a decrease in collagen and elastin compared to the other group in the study. You see how everything in your life is connected to your overall health and also to your skin. And aging, especially premature aging, can be prevented to some extent by just leading a healthy lifestyle, having a balanced diet, and not becoming a victim of one of those very popular negative habits such as smoking or alcohol consumption. I was also thinking about doing more videos on longevity and specifically on the diets that the, let's say, most healthy nations in the world have, such as the Okinawa diet and also the Mediterranean diet, and just to, investigate as to what do these diets have in common that helps the people in these geographical regions have a better quality of life. I hope that I helped you out with this video. Let me know down in the comments below if you would be interested in that other video idea. If you enjoyed the contents of this video, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And again, thank you for all of the feedback that you give me regularly. I really appreciate it. Thank you again for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next video.